So, in this session, I'm going to discuss object model approach. Which approach? Page object model in Selenium WebDriver. So, what is a page object model? Let's try to understand what is a page object model. Page object model is nothing, it is a design pattern that used to create an object repository for web element. So we have created several examples you have seen here. Check here. Suppose I'm going to open one web page. You can check here. Suppose I'm going to open saucerdemo.com. If you want to locate any element, so you can write a select locators. Using locators, you can locate any web element in your web page. So number of example we have created where we are trying to find an element and we are locating an element by using locators. We have different type of locators in Selenium. You can use any one of the locator based on requirement to locate an element. But whenever you suppose I have this saucerdemo.com, you can check here. In this saucerdemo.com, I want to locate suppose this username field. So which field we want to locate? We want to locate this username field and this password field. I want to locate this username field and password field. So you can write XPath locator to locate that element. But suppose same element we need to locate multiple times. In multiple tester classes, we have recorded in multiple test cases. Then what you need to do? Same line you need to write down multiple times. So now I'm going to use here page object model approach. In this model, actually, we create a separate corresponding page classes for each web page in the application. In your application, you have multiple web pages. Now we are going to create one Java class corresponding to each pages for in your application. So I'm going to create one class for each web page in your application. And now, just like here, you can understand in this way. You can check here we have one. This is a web page. And now this web page contains three elements like username, password, and login. Let's understand. This web page contains how many elements? Three elements. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create one Java class. I'm going to create one Java class. Corresponding this web page, I'm going to define one Java class. Like Java, suppose I create class name login page. This is a login page, so I'm going to create one Java class. And in this page, you have three elements like username, password, and login. There are three web elements. So in this login page class, I'm going to define three properties which contain the reference of those web element of a web page. So I declare one property like by type, by actually which contains reference. Like I created one field like username. And now here you can locate that web element into this variable. How we can locate? Using selectors, using locators. You can use locators to locate a web element. So which web element I want to locate? Suppose this username web element. So you can locate this element by using any locator. We have different type locator. We are going to locate this element using ID locator. So I'm using by.id. And now here we pass the ID of that element. So this line what does? This line will locate that web element with that given ID and return the reference of that web element. So now in our Java class, we have declared one property which contains the reference of that web element. So we have created one Java class. in this class we have declared one property, and now this property actually which contain the reference of the corresponding web element of a web page. So similar, in this web page we have three elements, so we can declare three property where each property contain the reference of each web element of a web page. So tomorrow, if you want to use, suppose this web element, you can access using directly by using Java object, login page Java object. So here, for every web page corresponding, we are going to create one Java class which contain the reference all web element of your web pages. So in this model, actually in this model, in page object design, page object model is nothing, just like it is a design pattern that we can create, that we can use in Selenium to write a script. So in this design pattern, we create a separate corresponding page classes for each web page in the application, and this object will store all the locator to inspect element on the page. And our test classes use this method of this page object class whenever they need to perform a test with the UI of that page. So let's try to create. So I am going to create one login page class for this Swag Labs login page. So I'm going to our under src main Java folder. Let's here we create one package first of all. So I'm going to create Java class. Yes, no. So Java source class. So where we need to create Java source class? We need to create Java source class under src main Java folder. So under this src main Java folder, I'm going to create Java class. But before going to create Java class, I will create one package. I give the package name like saucer demo. I give the package name like com.saucerdemo.pages. So whatever pages we have required, yes or no, all the pages of Saucer demo website, we are going to create under this package. Now I'm going to create one Java class. So I'm select this package, go to the new. Okay, we delete this one once again. We are going to create package. Let's delete this. Let's create one more package, new package once again. So select package. Under this package, I give the package name meaningful name like Saucer. I want to create web page classes for which web application? Saucer. So whatever Saucer demo pages we have required, we are going to place under this package. Right click on this package once again, go to the new and create Java class. Suppose I need to create one Java class for which corresponding page? Login page. So I give the class name like login page. Now press enter. In this login page, now you can check here, corresponding this web element. In this web page, we have three elements. So we declare three properties which contain the reference of each web element. So I will declare here one property, first of all, by type. You can check here, by actually is the mechanism that used to locate an element within a document. It contains the reference of a web element. So I declare one property with username. So this property contains the reference of web element of web page of which web element. So let's here go to our web page in saucerdemo.com. So you can check here, you can inspect that element. So what is the, okay, you can check here, you can use ID locator, you can inspect that, element. So you can check the ID of that element, username. So here I'm going to locate that element using ID locators, ID selectors and y.id. And now what is the ID? I'm going to locate that element by using their ID. So I'm passing that ID username. So this line will return the reference of that web element. Now we are storing that web element reference in one property. So under that class, we have declared one property which contain the reference of that web element which whose ID is the username. Similar, I'm going to declare one more property like password, which contain the reference of password element. So I'm going to locate that password web element. So using ID locators again. So I'm passing the ID. What is the ID? Password. Similar, I need to locate login button. So I give name like login button btn equal to by dot. I'm using ID locators, and here we pass login hyphen button. So there are three elements we have declared. Here we have declared three property. Actually, first property of this, you can check it. First property of this class pointing to the first web element. You can check here. Let me show here. You can remove this one. Now you can check here. This class. So now this property used to point which web element? This web element of a web page. Similar, this element, this property used to point which element? This is used to point that element. And this is used to point which element? This element, login. Now what we need to do? After creating a property, so you can check here we created a property. So first we can declare a property which contain the reference of that web element. After that, what action you need to define with that element? So inside your class, you can define a method, and inside the method, you can define the action. So with username field, what action you want to? Suppose I want to set the username. So here we define one method, set username. This method, what will take as a parameter? It will take username. And now this username value we want to set into which field? Into the username web element. So now this username property contain the reference of which web element? This web element. So now we can locate that element. First, how we can locate? Using WebDriver. So you require WebDriver, yes, no, to locate that element by using their reference. So it means inside login class, you need to declare one property like WebDriver, WebDriver. So login page class, login page is dependent one property like WebDriver. So login page has one dependency WebDriver. Now you need to inject that dependency. So how you can inject this dependency? You can provide WebDriver to login page class by calling login page constructor. So let's here we generate constructor. Here I'm going to generate constructor. And now we are passing WebDriver as an argument to login page constructor. Now we have initialized the WebDriver property value inside login page. Now once you get the WebDriver, now using WebDriver dot you can call find element method, and now you can pass the reference. So which element you want to find? Okay, here we can give different name like uname. So here we have one property with name username. Yes or no? So we can find that element username. Once you find that element, and after finding that element, what action you want to perform with that element? You want to send the key. You want to send this username value into this field. So you can call send keys method, and you can pass that username that you want to send uname value. So just what you need to do, you need to call set username, whatever value you passes that username. This method basically what does? This method simply set the value in this username field. Now similar, I want to set the value in user in password field. So set password, and now this will take password as an argument, pwd. And now let's first we find that element using WebDriver dot find element, and we can pass a reference. So which property of that class contain the reference? A password web element, password property. Once you have located that element, then what action you want to perform? I want to send a key. In the key, what we want to send? pwd value. And now I want to perform action with click button. So right click on login button. Yes or no? Let's we define one method, login button. So here what you need to do, WebDriver dot find element. And now which element we want to find? Login button. And then after finding what you want to perform click action on that element. So you can check here. Here we define one Java class. This Java class actually representing this web page. And this Java class contain a property which contain the reference of each UI element of a web page. It contains reference as well as it contains action. What action you want to perform? So here we define one method set username. This action used to set the username value into username web element. Similar set password and click on login button. So we have defined login page class. So we have defined login page class. Now what we need to do? We need to go our tester class. So now we need to define our tester class. So let's now we create our tester class. So go to src test java under testing package. Let's we create one Java tester class. I give the like login tester. Login tester. And now you can click finish. Now inside this login tester, let's I define one method public void verify login. Verify login. And now this is a test. So you can annotate at the rate test annotation. And now inside this, actually you need to write a script to verify login activity for which web page? This saucerdemo.com. So we need to load this web page. So go to the config under config folder package. There is a configuration.properties file. And here you can define our test URL. Now we have changed the test URL. So test URL equal to this one is a test URL value. So go to the login tester. Now login tester class needs to extend which class? Base test class. We have already defined base test class. We are writing the base test class logic, base test class. Now, so now we want to perform automation script on this login page. So we need to locate this web element and then we need to send the data into username and password. Then we need to click on a login button. So what you can do? So let's now we are trying to perform. So you are not required to locate each web element here. Already we have defined one class. You can check here. Already we have defined one class. Which class we have defined? That class actually representing that class. What does that class representing that web element? Each web element. Yes or no? So this class actually can helps to refer that web page. If you want to perform any action on that web element, you can perform with this login page object using login page object. So what you need to, you want to perform login activity operation with which page? Login page. So login page corresponding that login page, we have created one login Java class. So what you need to do, login page, you need to create login page class object, login page equal to new login page. And once we have created login page object, you can check here login page object. Which object we need to create? Login page object. And now this login page actually as a it will require WebDriver as an argument. So while you're creating the login page object, you can pass WebDriver as an argument. And now once login page is created, now In this login page, you can check here what action I want to set this username into this field. So how you can? So in this login page class, already we have one method set username. You can call just method set username and pass the username. You can check here. Suppose I pass the username standard underscore user. I pass this username. Let's we copy once again. This is a standard underscore user. And now we want to set the password. So login page dot set password. And now what we need to do? Secret underscore saucer. We need to pass the password. And now after that, what action we want to perform? We want to perform click action. So we have one method click on login button. Now after login, yes or no? What we are expecting? I'm expecting corresponding URL. We are try to get URL after login. So using WebDriver dot get current URL. So you can check here. Once you have login, suppose you have a standard user, you enter the username, you enter the password, and once you have login successfully, you can check you are expecting this web page. Yes or no? If login is successfully. So this is our expected URL. So I can declare one variable string expected URL. This is our expected URL. If login is successfully, then we are expecting this URL. Now you can use assertion to compare whether your test case is pass or not pass. So you can use assert dot assert equals, you can pass actual current URL value and expected URL value. If it is matched, then your test case is pass. So here you can check here, we are using which design pattern. Here we are using page object model design pattern. So I'm not going to locate one by one element corresponding for every web page. I'm going to create one Java class, and this class basically what contains? This class basically contains the reference of each web element of web page and action, what action you want to perform with each element of a web page. So corresponding every page, web page, you can define a Java class. That Java class contains the reference of each web element and it contains the action that you want to perform. So whenever you want to use this web page, so you can use with the help of login page corresponding Java class. You can create corresponding Java class object and then you can start to utilizing those. So now if you run this test case, now you can check here. Now you can check here, login is successfully, and now you can check your test case is pass also. Your test case is pass. So here we are writing the Selenium script using which approach? Page object model approach. So check here in this page model approach. What is a page object model? Page object model in Selenium is an object design pattern that used to create an object repository for web element. So in this model, we create a separate corresponding page class for each web page in the application and store all the locator to inspect element on the page and respective method to interact with those element and variable to use them. So you can check here. Here in this, yes, no, our page object class. Here this page class is pointing which login page? saucerdemo.com login page. And here it contains several properties. Those properties contain the reference of each web element of that web page, and it contains the action behavior that you want to perform with that each element of web page. So page class plus test class. So now you can define page class and then you can write a test class. Using that page class, you can write a script. So I hope it's clear what is the page object model in Selenium. Thank you.